All right, my honeys, after 53 hours, still haven't finished the story yet. 53 hours of Borderlands 4. I'm just going to go ahead and do a review for it. Now, Borderlands is not one of those games that is like known for its stories, right? So I haven't actually gotten to the end boss fight, but I think that I've played enough to where I can give you my honest opinion. Borderlands 4 is the best Far Cry Borderlands game you'll ever play. I mean that wholeheartedly. But it's got problems. Okay, so uh, Borderlands 4 has got issues with enemy pathing. Sometimes they get stuck. This can sometimes ruin your progression because maybe an enemy clipped into a lower section of the map that you can't get to, and you might have to restart that part of the mission over again. This can happen with side missions. This can happen with main missions. Sometimes you're shooting, you're being an absolute badass, and you're and things are working out great. You know, you're laying enemies down, and then all of a sudden you come across an enemy, just an absolute like a nothing burger enemy, and they're not taking any damage, or maybe their health bar disappears and they're just kind of like shooting at you, you're shooting at them, and you got to run away. You got to move around the arena to get away from them, you know, and maybe cycle through your weapons and then try it again, and then you can lay the enemy down. That's a bit confusing, and I would say it creates a like a very like there's a disadvantage there to the player because this game is a lot more intense in its presentation and its atmosphere, like, you know, enemy encounters. So when you have a game that's having multiple hiccups in the moment, in the arena, right, to where you're having to like run away from enemies, not because they're besting you, but because you know they're broken, and you kind of have to move around the arena and hope that the glitch unglitches itself, and then you can finally take this little shit stain down, you know. So that's a bit distracting, kind of weighs the experience down. And you might say, oh, well, maybe he was just immune to whatever element you had on your weapon. No, it's not that. It's not that. No, because that can happen with elemental enemies. It can happen with non-elemental enemies, right? So, but yeah, like a lot of times you'll be sliding around, you come across enemies that are just kind of like glitch running into boxes and stuff. It's not a huge problem, but it's there. If if you know, you know, right? Like you're coming around the corner, and you see an enemy just like running as hard as they can against a box, and you know, sometimes you can take them out, and sometimes it's just totally glitched out. That's weird. Side quests are interesting. They're just as fun, if not more fun, in Borderlands 4 compared to Borderlands 3. I've enjoyed almost every side quest the game has thrown at me thus far. There are environmental glitches. I noticed, like, what is it, the first group you encounter in the game, that hub area in their village, a lot of times, all of a sudden you get like these whiteout effects because the game is glitching out. I don't think I've experienced that anywhere else in the game. It's just there where like it feels like the world is just for a few seconds is just like whiting out and getting fucking crazy, like almost like the game's destabilizing, right? So that's a bit weird. It doesn't happen as much as it used to whenever I started playing, but it's still there, and it is a bit jarring, a bit weird. There are bugs related to weapons, right? It will say, oh, it doesn't own DLC. Apparently, that's a bug that you can find in the game with certain legendaries. Of course, I showed you a clip here, and that is a bit of a bummer. And they say it's a glitch, but I wonder if it's something stuck in the coding. Like they wanted to gatekeep weapons from the player and sort of put them on a guilt trip because they didn't have this DLC or that DLC. I've seen that. I saw that in Borderlands 3. Like little mama will be like, oh babe, look at this weapon I have for you, and she drops it for me. That's she's gonna hate that impression, like that impression of her, but like, I don't sound like that. Yeah, yeah, okay. She'll drop a weapon and it'll say, "Oh, this player doesn't have DLC." Like, so it's DLC specific weapons. We saw that in Borderlands 3. Well, apparently that is also in Borderlands 4. They're claiming it's a bug. I think it's more like a feature, right? But something got weird. So, like, specific guns that maybe might have been part of a DLC they're getting ready to launch with this game, and they changed their mind last second, but the game still reads these particular items as locked because you don't have a DLC. And I saw another interesting glitch. If you have one of those guns that says, "Oh, doesn't own DLC," if you have it in your inventory, it flags all the weapons in your inventory as doesn't have DLC. So that's a bit weird. But overall, yeah, Borderlands 4 is the coolest Far Cry sci-fi game I have ever played. Because to me, like, we oftentimes sit around and we say to ourselves, man, why don't games hit the way they used to? Why can't I get into this? Why can't I get into that game? Why can't I do, like, games just ain't fun no more. And you see it on YouTube all the time. And goodness knows, I have those moments. But then a game like Borderlands 4 comes along that gets you back into just playing video games for the sake of playing video games. Borderlands 4 is a video game doing video game things, trying to get you to engage with a video game world. And there is nothing wrong with that. It's just a video game being a damn video game. And it does everything it wants to do. It does it very well, but it's still got some ironing out to accomplish. My only concern moving forward is Gearbox doing that fucking thing that they like to do. They like to say, "Oh, this legendary. Oh, that gun, those gun stats. Oh, it's too powerful. We're going to have to nerf those things because they're just too damn powerful." Why? They have done that shit in Borderlands 3. They've done that shit in Tiny Tina's Wonderland. You know what I mean? Like, I'm worried that whatever these, how shall I put it? I don't want to be mean, but those people that get on YouTube and don't hate me for saying autistically play the game, right? It's all about stats, it's all about numbers, getting this shield with that character mod, these weapons, this loadout, this character tree, that this is how you build out this character. This is how you build out that character, right? Channels like that build the ultimate vault hunter, right? And then they come along, they start nerfing stuff, and it totally fucks up their feng shui, as it were. Right. So I don't be like, "Oh, you're just being mean about autistic people." No, my son's autistic. I don't mean that me in a mean way. I just mean that, like, literal, right? Everybody, it's all about the stats. It's all about the numbers. It's all about the splash damage. It's all about the, you know, this and that, like, very mathematically, right? I can't play games like that. That bores me to death. Give me a gun, let me go kill shit. All right. I don't do like I'm not into that whole this is how you build this Vault Hunter out. This is how you build like optimal. Don't make this mistake. Do this right. Do that right. You know how I feel about that. Building your character out the way somebody else tells you to build your character out, you're basically playing the game the way someone else does. You're letting them lead you by the nose through the entire experience. And you guys know I'm not a fan of that. So, but I do think that we haven't begun to see the extent that Gearbox is going to go through to start nerfing shit and just sort of taking the piss out of people's fun. So I don't want to like start saying, "Oh man, this one gun was amazing," or "Oh, that one grenade's amazing," because you never know with Gearbox. But anyway, Borderlands 4 still needs a lot of work. Somebody had said they made an observation that the end game on console might in fact the problem might be because all the loot that sort of lays on the ground. So as you're exploring the open world and all this loot's just being left behind, your lost loot machine's not going to collect all of it, right? Right. And because it doesn't despawn fast enough, there's too many assets in the game world on top of everything else, and then, well, it starts to bog down the experience. So it seems like there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be addressed. But yeah, after 50 to 53 hours, I think I can positively do a review for the Borderlands 4 on a PS5. It's been a lot of fun. Hella amazing. Enjoyed the side quests. I'm enjoying like the, item hunts, and except for that one bounty where you have to grab something and then you have to hoof it back to the bounty hub to where you can toss it in a box. Like, why can't you just let us equip it? Like, put it in our make believe inventory and then, drive over there. No, you gotta hoof it, right? I avoid those bounties. So yeah, but yeah, Borderlands 4. Woo! Awesome. But it needs work. It's been so much fun. Really enjoy myself. You know, I get burned out on gaming. I'm like, oh, I don't know, nothing's really piqued my interest. And Borderlands 4 comes along, just like sweeps me off my feet. Hey, but anyway, that's all I got for now. You all have. Oh wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Uh, I don't know. I'm thinking of doing an entire blind playthrough of Chronos the New Dawn. I'm going to be getting my hands on a physical copy of that in about 2 days, my honeys. And I was thinking that, well, it's getting close to October, right? I know some people have been asking me about the Beast, but you know what? Nobody's talking about Chronos the New Dawn. So you know how I feel about that. Let's play the game, right? Let's play Chronos the New Dawn. Everybody's jerking off to Dying Like the Beast. I will eventually get the game as along with Hellraiser. Uh, but the more like people they just left it. Like they fucked off. They're like they did their little YouTube give me views, give me click videos on the game, and then they just kind of left it. And that's not fair. So we need to talk about Chronos the New Dawn. So expect it. E- believe, believe we gonna expect that. Okay. So anyway, but yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna get to the end of the game, guys. I don't know, but I do know this much. I'm having a lot of fun. I just wanted to throw out my shit on the griddle and let it sizzle. You know, I the story's kind of interesting. It's maybe a little bit more interesting than previous Borderlands games, but it's still nothing I really care about. So I'm not entirely sure I need to roll the credits. All right. So after 53 hours of playing Borderlands on the PS5, I think I can do a review. I guarantee you by the end of the weekend, I'm gonna have finished the game anyway. And I'm just gonna tell you, side missions are kind of broke. Enemy AI is still kind of broke. Gearbox is probably going to nerf weapons. People are doing build videos on YouTube, and they're probably going to have to rethink some of that because Gearbox is not done nerfing shit because they do that because they love making you miserable. So what are you going to do? So yeah, Borderlands 4. Ooh, baby, 8.5, 8.5 until they fix some of these fucking wonky issues. Then it'll probably be like a 9 out of 10. So there you go. Borderlands 4, PS5. Hot, 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 hotness. Fucking awesome. And really enjoy myself. So if you're kind of on the fence about it, it's a video game doing video game things, and you're going to have a lot of fun doing video game things. What more can you ask out of a video game? So there we have it. Anyway, that's all I got for now. You all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will catch you on the flip side.